Hello, how are you doing? Welcome. This is going to be a very exciting live stream, and let me know if you can hear me all right, if it's okay how it looks. Is there any background noise? Is everything okay? If you're hearing me all right, give it a thumbs up. If everything's working for you, let me know in the comments section right now. But what is already happening over here and what you saw in the intro while it was just basically waiting for this to load is I've got a very special laptop in here, and we're going to check out how good this is in video editing applications like Premiere Pro, and how good is it actually in playing back certain things. But the thing is, this here is most likely the best 13-inch creator laptop that you can find out there. It's so small and it packs so much power. This is called the ASUS ProArt PX13. And I'm glad, Kevin, thanks for letting me know that it sounds all right. That's all good. It's already actually doing an export test. So we're straight away going to see how good or how long this is going to take, or how long this took. It's already ran 13 minutes and we're roughly halfway through. The thing is, the first half is harder than the second half, so it's going to do the second half faster. So I'm going to weight this straight away, like this is what we're going to be seeing in a minute when this is going to be done. You can see some of the hardware monitor specs here, what's going on straight away on this side. Let me just expand this a little bit. So you can see that our CPU package has pulled 57 watts maximum. Just double check that we are on the max power mode. Best performance, I believe we are. And making sure that this also is at best performance. And we're going to keep this going. CPU package has maximum been pulled 57 watts. And if we scroll down, the GPU has pulled 102 watts. Wait a second, I look at the wrong. 57 watts on the CPU and 102 watts on the GPU. Now, you're probably wondering, what are the specs of this here? This is Ryzen AI 9 HX370. So this is an insane laptop CPU. It's got 12 cores, 24 threads with integrated graphics. We've got 32 gigs of soldered on RAM. It's 7,500 megatransfers per second. Unfortunately, that is the maximum it can do. We've got a 2 terabyte SSD. So this is the flagship model. You can have it smaller, capacity SSD as well. I've got a full-on review and a little bit unboxing coming out a little bit later of this. We're editing this video at the moment. But the GPU here is RTX 4070 mobile. And obviously the integrated graphics there as well. And the NPU that comes from the CPU. But why is this so special? It's because this is the actual smaller brother of this. This is P16, the 16-inch laptop, but this is 13-inch. But the funny thing is, all of the power of this 16-inch is inside this 13-inch, which is insane to me, and that's why this is so special. I mean, I dare you to find something online, a 13-inch form factor laptop that has that much CPU and GPU power. On top of that, this is 2-in-1, which means that, like you see on the thumbnail, 1 second, I'll just put this away. It's a 2-in-1 laptop. So the screen can go backwards, as you can see, and it can become a tablet. I'm going to be using this like a laptop, like we're going to be doing this test, but this is absolutely insane. So Arcrest is saying, I thought you did the same test before. I did, but I did it with a different laptop. There is 3 ProArt laptops. So Let me see, where are they? I just showed you the P16, okay? And then there's PZ13. PZ13 with the Snapdragon Elite. Then there's PX13, which is also 13-inch form factor, but with the specs of a higher end one, and it's x86. We've got the Ryzen AI 9 HX370, and then RTX 4070 mobile for the GPU. So this is like the best of both worlds. Interestingly, it looks like it's kind of crashed in there, unless it's not showing what's happening there, but it looks like it's a little bit crashed right now. Yep. Oh no. It's just gone forward. I'm just gonna close the Premiere Pro so that we have more RAM for media encoder. So hopefully it's gonna do it a little bit faster. I'll show you what's going in here as well. And where is our... Oh. Okay, it's a little bit... Come on. Come on. So, Glancer is saying, for a high-end build like i9 or Ryzen 9 with 4090 or 4080 Super for creators, will the low read and write speed SSD affect the performance of all system? Yes and no. I can't believe you're actually asking this question. An hour ago, I actually filmed the best SSD of 2024, and I'm going more in depth there about what's the question that you're literally answering. But the write and read speeds, what's most important about that is the random read and write speeds. I'm going to keep this on so you can see what's happening on the screen there as we're exporting this. It's a little bit of a like scrolling, and I'm hoping that... Okay, there we go. We've got the task manager open there. It feels very, very laggy right now, because it's pushing full on speed through this. CPU is not doing that much, about 22 watts. But if you go further down, the GPU is not doing that much either. Let's just double check that it did save the power settings, because it feels way too laggy for what it's supposed to do. Glancer, back to your question. What's most important is the random reader writes, and if you're going for a high-end Gen 4 drive, you're going to get that, or Gen 5 drive. But no, it's not really going to slow down the system. As long as you have an NVMe, you're not really going to have any issues. That's what I would say. I'm just going to open the door a little bit because it's getting very, very warm in here. Turning the extra monitors off as well, because I've got lots of test bench systems actually testing lots of different things here at the same time. So they're all producing heat in this room. Now, it's struggling with the Red Raw 6K, what it's trying to put together there at the moment. CPU package only 13 watts. GPU 27 watts. It's struggling. Let's see if we can give it a bit more memory. No, the memory is maximum. It just feels very, very laggy. The temperatures aren't bad. The NVIDIA GPU is doing some decoding, but it's probably debayering that red raw. Eight-bit Blender is saying, is this AMD? Yes, this is AMD Ryzen 9, the AIHX 370HX. It's a very special model that I have actually. So if anybody's watching from the US, this is not actually available in the US. In the US, there's only a 4060 version available and 4050 version. This is a 4070 version, which I believe is available in the EU market, maybe somewhere else. I think we're gonna have to close it down in a minute. And Meister Glanter is saying right now it's running full potential. Yes, this is its full like speed, what it can do. I've got it plugged in as well, so it's the max performance what it can do. It's just struggling to get through there. There's actually 8K red raw coming and 12K as well, so it's okay. So let's see what happens if we're just gonna see ya. Yes, I do want to quit, and then now it feels snappy again. By the way, I'm using a very special keyboard. This is a Geekron Q1HE, and I'm absolutely loving it. You can hear it. It's so heavy, by the way. Do you feel that thump? It's heavy. SFF Network, thank you very much for your nice comment there. Good morning to you as well. I bet you're watching from the US or that side of the world, because that's where the morning is. So let us get this nicely lined up here so we can all see what's going on. So on that side, we've got this. Okay, we don't need this here. Thermal throttling, yes, that's what I want to keep going. Don't need any of this. Okay. Okay, so we can see CPU package power down there, and our GPU stuff. CPU, GPU down there, and then where's our task manager? So you can see whether it's the iGPU, the GPU, what's actually being utilized. Okay, maybe that much. Lining this up is a bit of a nightmare for 13-inch. Bear with me, I'm sorry about that. Okay. There we go. that way. So there we go. I'm going to take these off as well. Boom. Okay, so we can see a little bit more. CPU package power, CPU temperature, and then GPU underneath. And then we've got this there. And our project here. Let's like look at these. Alrighty. Let's open up all the different timelines. Now, if you don't know what I'm doing right now, and if this feels very like odd and understand like what on earth are you doing, why are you doing this, then basically what happens is hardware inside your laptop or PC or Mac, whichever one, utilizes different codecs differently. They either play it on software, which means CPU, or they play it on the hardware, which means GPU or the media engines. The media engines can be on the iGPU or the dedicated GPU. So if it's going to play it back on the GPU, we're going to see it there because the GPU is going to be utilized. If it's going to be back on the CPU, we're going to see the CPU that's being utilized. And then this is the iGPU, GPU1, that's connected to the CPU. Meiser Clancer is saying, did I learn it in school or did I have to learn it by myself? I had to learn it all by myself because there is nothing like this out there on the internet. There was a lot of gaming channels, a lot of gaming PCs, but I had to figure this out and learn all myself and do my research and testing to figure out how this works for creators and so on. And I don't think anyone else is producing content so specific for creators out there. So if you're thinking about buying this laptop now, let's take a look at this impressive performance. This is Premiere Pro 2025. Let's take a look. Not help. We want to see about. There we go. 2025 build. And okay, let's take. Everything's going to be played back at full resolution. I want to see this one here. And then this is the green frame drop indicator there, which means that if it is green, no frames are dropped, it plays it back at full resolution, at full speed. The reason I'm not doing the DaVinci tests in here, and I've kind of stopped doing it, because DaVinci Resolve works differently. And you have to set your timeline resolution on the go, and if you drop different footage on it, it actually plays it back in the timeline settings, not on the actual footage settings. Whereas Premiere Pro does it differently. You have your timeline settings for the video resolution, but if you drop on a clip, it actually uses the clip's properties to play it back on, you know, what the clip is kind of playing at. So DaVinci Resolve can actually be a lot better in performance because it's not playing it back in full resolution and so on. And some people have said, you know, you can definitely change the timeline, but the annoying thing is I would have to, no, it's actually a project, not just timeline settings, I believe. So if you have a 60 frame clip, for example, if your timeline is 24 frames per second, it's still gonna play it 24 frames per second. But in Premiere Pro, we're gonna be getting all the frames at full resolution out, so it's a little bit harder on Premiere Pro. Now, this first clip is 60 frames per second, H.264, 420, 8-bit. And at full resolution, when we're playing this back, as you can see, the GPU is playing it back. CPU not doing much over there. And if we're going to press play,
8-bit.
Full resolution.
Okay. Bow. Come on, focus here. Can you focus here?
I appreciate that SFF network. I've actually got the Noctua Terra SFF as small form factor built on the side there, but I'm about to tear this down. right? This looks fine. Oh my goodness, it is actually dropping frames.
This is 4K 60 FPS.
Look at the
420
GPU.
8-bit.
It's very much utilized because there is a
Okay.
little bit of a color grade on top, which gets played back on the GPU. But it does drop a lot of frames.
Okay.
Interesting, second time when you press play. At first it doesn't, but then it starts dropping a little bit of frames.
Bow, 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 bow. Come on, focus here. Okay, focus here.
If I take the color grade off, scrolling through that 60 frames per second, 8-bit 420, it's not bad. Pressing play.
8-bit. Okay.
As you can see, the CPU roughly pulls about the same wattage as before. Just the GPU a little bit less
Bow, 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 bow.
because it doesn't have to play back the color grade on the
Come
top
on,
there.
focus here. Okay, focus here.
Interestingly, it's dropping a little bit of frames, so it's not the best. Moving on to 10-bit 420 H.265, so it's a little bit different now. Because it's 420, it can still be accelerated on the GPU.
420. 420, let's see if...
I don't know why
This is
this
what we
is
have.
there. This is probably because of some kind of other error. Usually it's not there. It could be because of the streaming device, YOLObox Ultra.
Boom, boom.
No
Not bad.
problem playing back H.265. And scrolling it very, very good as well. But bear in mind this is 420, so it is hardware accelerated. Oh. 422, 30 frames per second, H.264. That is actually going to be played back on the CPU. So as you can see, when I'm scrubbing through, the CPU starts absolutely going for it.
Taken, and this is 4K 30 frames per second SI codec. Okay,
And it's not bad
So
actually.
the S-
It's one of the best what I've seen.
if I'm not mistaken, and
422 H.264, but this is 25 frames per second. It's a little bit hard always to play back. Looks a little bit choppy.
because
Again, it takes a bit of time to play back.
and then you're gonna have to take the monitor side.
Press go. So as you can see, go,
Amount
and
of
now it goes. So there's like a 2-second
Because it doesn't-
pause to
fit.
play this back. By the way, the files are stored locally on the desktop.
So
This second clip is XAVC SI, which is all intra, which means that every single frame has been recorded separately, not in a like a group for compression. So it's a little bit easier to play back, and scrubbing therefore is a lot easier as well. Pressing play there, very much instant. But this H.264 is hard to play back. Moving on to 10-bit 422 60 frames per second H.264.
very hard codec to edit. Sony A7S III 200 megabits per second. Megabits, not megabytes. Megabits. 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 1 gigabit.
This looks good. Playing back. Scrubbing is a bit slow. Not the best, I would say, interestingly. But bear in mind, this is 60 frames per second, 4K at full resolution there. Next, this is H.265 10-bit, 50 frames per second. And this is accelerated on the GPU. Can you see how this is interesting? Now we can see the GPU is being utilized and the CPU isn't as much. not like the previous clip, which was the other way. So if I'm scrubbing, look how much GPU is utilized. Now this is the real test. Okay, H.265, 422, 10-bit, 60 frames per second from Canon R5. This is hard to play back. Oh my word, look at that CPU, 80 watts being pulled. GPU just 40 watts, obviously it can't do much there, but the CPU is what it's playing back. It's because you don't have hardware support for this. If it was an Intel laptop, we would have iGPU that supports hardware playback for this, and it will be very easy to play back. But because the iGPU hasn't got dedicated hardware to actually play this back, look what happens with the CPU when I press play. 100% utilized, and we have a slideshow. It's dropping frames like crazy. And now even stopped. Reverend is saying, how is the fan noise? Can you hear the fans? The fans are going quite fast because it's a small 13-inch. It is going for it. Now, a little side note, which is a little shout out for today's video, which is Samsung SSDs. Now, if you are looking for a secondary M.2 SSD, then highly recommend checking out Samsung SSDs. They are pro drives for the professionals, perhaps a little bit more expensive than person who might be just looking for their gaming SSD, but there are some awesome SSDs from Samsung available, especially the 990 Pro with 4 TB in capacity. Very good, reliable SSD. Very interesting. Go check them out in the video description below. I highly recommend checking also out the Samsung 990 EVO and the EVO Plus reviews on the channel, because they're a lot more affordable. And if you're looking for a full system and programs drive, sometimes this is outperforming the one with DRAM cache, the 990 Pro, which is fascinating, and it's a little bit cheaper as well. So thanks very much, Samsung, for partnering up with the channel, and check out their SSDs in the video description below. So, hello, people who are tuning in right now. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Now, back to editing. The fans have calmed down because it's cooled down the laptop a little bit. Let me press play and hear the fan noise change. So, see that? It pushed itself so much that then it had to, like, it says thermal throttling, no, but it is actually thermal throttling, because it should still look 85 watts now, goes back, but then pulls down when it reaches 90 degrees. So for some reason AMD is telling itself that it's not thermal throttling here on the hardware info, but it actually is. This is raw footage now, Canon C200, so this is Canon RAW, and this is DCI 4K, so a little bit bigger than just Ultra HD. Pressing play. It took some time. This is all played back on the CPU basically. 81 watts utilized. It's not the best experience, to be honest, but doable. You probably won't be editing this at full resolution, especially at this size. Quarter of resolution, and it's like buttery smooth. No problem. 4K Red RAW, full resolution, oh, it's buttery smooth. So easy to play back. Very, very easy. Let's press play. Look at that. If you've got 4K red raw, absolutely no problem whatsoever. Okay, before we move on to the high resolutions, this is 4K 120 frames per second, full resolution. Surprisingly, scrubbing through is actually not that bad. H.264, 422 or 420. And then we have the orange one, which is H.265. Scrolling seems quite alright now, but let's press play. Oh man.
Yeah. Okay.
Drop so many frames.
2, 2, 4, 2, 2. Yo, 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 yo.
No. 5K red raw, full resolution, scrubbing through is not bad at all. Let's press play. Wow. See, sometimes resolution is not the obstacle. It might be the actual frame rate or bit depth or chromosome sampling. No problem. Like butter. This is 6K red raw, and often I'm seeing systems struggle with this, apart from the MacBook Pro M4 Max that did a fantastic job in this. Okay, pressing play. It's not gonna be good. Interesting, the woman. Okay, so let's try these second ones. See, these are like Komodo 6K red raw. At full resolution, it's slightly struggling with it. Let's see half of them. Actually, not bad response. A little bit better than some of the H.264 codecs that we tried earlier. This is B-RAW, 6K B-RAW, but I don't have any GPU effects over them. Just there. Scrubbing full resolution, no problem, because it will be somewhat accelerated on GPU. Interestingly here, look at that. Even the iGPU is doing stuff in here. Look at that. Two B-rolls on top of each other. Doesn't even break a sweat. A little bit more, but okay, there's no way it's gonna keep going here on this. This is Canon R5 8K. I'm gonna put it onto the beginning. We've got it at half the resolution, and I'm gonna press play now.
And 1, 2, 3, go. Slowly, slowly, go. Slow, slow, slow.
Oh, slow or smiling?
1, 2, 3, go.
Did anyone hear that? I filled up my water bottle. Zen Photo is saying, is Intel better for editing or AMD? Depending what you're doing. But for this laptop, I'd say Intel was better in some of these codecs, just because we don't have Intel QuickSync. It's just AMD and NVIDIA. But the thing is, well, for this laptop, you probably won't be getting this for video editing mostly. Maybe you do, and it's going to be fine. But I think where this shines is like for designers and 3D work, because it's got really powerful GPU for that form factor, touchscreen with pen support, and really good CPU for that as well. And battery life is good. The price for this laptop is depending on your region. I've got the 4070 version, and this goes roughly around 2200, something like that. It's quite expensive, but what it packs for that one, there's nothing out there, so it's kind of a unique one. 4060 I think you can get for 2 grand, and 4050 version is roughly around 1800. I mean, go check out the links in the video description below. Maybe there's some deals out there, but it's interesting. So Canon R5, look at that, we dropped a heck of a lot of frames at half the resolution. Let's see quarter of resolution. Oh, there we go. Just drop down the resolution a little bit, and I've got the adjustment layer there as well, which is accelerated on the GPU. Press and play. No problem. It is quite heavy on the CPU, as you can see, 70 watts being pulled, but no frames drop at quarter resolution, so it wouldn't really use.
And 1, 2, 3, go. Slowly, slowly, go.
All you have to do is drop the resolution. Okay, I want to see if it can do it at full. Okay, come on NVIDIA, come on AMD. This is Red Raw 8K, and we're going to press play. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh. I think the RAM is actually a bottleneck, because the P16 can't hear you over the footage audio. I don't think there is footage audio, so I'm not sure what you're talking about. Full resolution, it doesn't do that. As you can see, we're really like on the high end of the RAM. The P16 has the same configuration, but just a bit more RAM, 64 gigabytes. That's why it works a little bit better. Let's drop it to half the resolution. Okay, looks very instant, even though it goes yellow to show us that it drops frames. Press play. It's only 3 frames, so it drops like some random frames in the beginning, but then that's it. Ah, did I really have Canon R5? Where is it? Oh yeah, I do have audio here. I do apologize for that. I'm gonna have to mute that. Thanks, Reverend, for that. But half the resolution, 8K Red Raw, butter. It's just butter. Buttery smooth. Pressing play, no problem. Again. This is not a water bottle. It is air up bottle. Okay. 12K B-RAW. This is, again, quite mental, right? Firstly, it's mental that such things exist. It's 12K video, which means every single frame in the video is about 85 megapixels big, and it's trying to play that back 24 frames per second. Okay, so 24 80 megapixels every single second. It's quite insane. Now, full resolution, it's no way it's going to do it. I mean, look at the memory. We're just absolutely maxing up every bit of RAM that we have. We're going to press play. CPU is 100%, pulling 41 watts. GPU is kind of just like 4.5 watts. Yep, it can't do that. Oh my word, it's like crashing. Okay, pause it. Can't do anything. It's firstly RAM bottleneck. Massive RAM bottleneck. And look how much the SSD. It took a lot of SSD to read it from the SSD, because you are reading 85 megapixel files like 24 times a second, which is massive strain on SSD. I don't think we ever kind of peaked the SSD. I want to go back to like see the red 8K raw. Okay. Oh yeah, look at that. That's fascinating. I don't think I've ever actually noticed that. When scrubbing through, look at the SSD read and writes, because it has to read it sequentially. Yeah, this goes 3, 5. That could be a bottleneck as well. Don't know if the P16 on the ProArt actually has... Well, it does have a bigger SSD, meaning the 2280mm SSD, which means that it might have DRAM cache. I don't know if the 2230 SSD NVMe that's in there will have cache. I think this is the... But SSD read speed, okay. Let me just put down the resolution a little bit. Half the resolution. Look at the memory. Oh my word. Come on. Loading, loading, loading. There we go. There we go. Scrubbing through. Half the resolution. We're still waiting. Are we then? Not today. I have a feeling. Not today. Quarter resolution. Come on. Okay, I think we've established that you probably don't want to edit 12K raw on this, because you don't have enough RAM and it's just not going to work. 1/8 of resolution, come on. Okay, let's press play. It plays back, but a bit scrubby. That is not okay. Now, this is a test project that at first I did it with color grade on top, but I'm just going to take the first part here, or the second part that is without the color grade. Oops. And then all the way to the end. And then let's export it. By the way, our CPU max power was 130 watts. No way. That is above the power limit of this. It should only be like 100 watts. And then the CPU went to 85 watts, which is pretty insane. Okay, let's send this to our media encoder. And then let's see what happens. I'm going to take some questions now. If you have any if you'd like to see, or if I can help you in any way, let me know. We're gonna open media encoder. See, the previous one we already stopped, but we'll start the new one. Let's close the Premiere Pro down, so we have a little bit more RAM capacity left there. Let's press go. We're gonna open this and our task manager. CPU 56 watts, 45 watts. GPU a little bit more idle. So a lot of it goes on the CPU, interestingly. But if there's no color grading on, look, it goes a lot faster. It failed. Interesting. Let's try it one more time. It says that it should finish in about 3 minutes. Come on. If it finishes it in 3 minutes, that's impressive. Seriously impressive. As you can see, GPU is doing the heavy lifting, and memory would love to have some more, but there isn't. Can you see how different clips, even at exporting, are going more on the CPU or GPU? The iGPU is not doing much at all. See, just idling away there. The NVIDIA GPU is doing a lot of stuff. But which uses more power and kind of does the heavy lifting, you can see that the CPU is pulling more power. Okay, while it's doing that, I'm gonna put another plug for the Samsung SSDs. If you need an SSD, go check out Samsung 990 Pro, 990 Evo, 919 Evo Plus SSDs in the video description below. Perfect for your operating system, cache drives, project drives. Whoa, don't drop it. It's all right. It's okay. CPU is the one absolutely pegging it now. Because remember, we could have encoded this on the GPU. Now here's another thing. I wish they had even a massively lower powered RTX 4080 in there, because the 4080 plus GPUs have dual encoders, which means it could have used both of its encoders. Right now it's one, so it's doing it a little bit slower. Let's see how it's gonna keep up with this. Looks like all of this is gonna go on the CPU. Oh, I missed one. Asaf is saying, am I still using my M4 Max for video editing? And the answer is yes. I'm not sure if you can see this, but I'm just off the frame here. Let me see if I can pull it in. See the corner there? That's the M4 Max in there. I have swapped over from the Threadripper to the M4 Max, and I'm gathering data to actually see if it can replace my Threadripper. So far, it's pretty insane. Like, I don't want to give everything away. There's a few things that I'm missing from the Threadripper, but it's honestly, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Come on. Can you see how it starts to struggle with certain codecs, especially the red raw? That's when it went wrong as well. Can you see how the time remaining is not like going down really? And it's like just kind of chewing this through like frame by frame. Interesting. I wonder what is the bottleneck here. It's really struggling with that 5K red raw. 5K red raw down to 4K H264. Oh, okay. It went to B raw. Maybe it's not playing it back exactly what it's doing there. But the time remaining is going higher and higher and higher and higher. Okay, that went through. Now it's gone to the 6K red raw. NVIDIA GPU is like just 100% utilized. And it failed. Look at that. Would you look at that? Failed. Which is interesting. I wonder if there is any updates available. If there's updates available and there's a firmware update, that might explain this. No? Looks like we're up to date. Okay. So, conclusion now for video editing this PX13 from ASUS. Now, the impressive thing is that it is 13-inch form factor and it is laptop like that. Okay. And interestingly, in this, I should have maybe used it like this, because when you have the laptop in this position, it's got actually the best cooling because it's got lots of space for the air to come in from underneath and then to exhaust out from the top. Your screen's not going to be on the way, and from the side, it's the best cooling. The thing is, if you want to do video editing with this one, because of the 32 gigabytes of RAM, it's bottlenecked in quite a lot of the codecs there. I'd recommend dropping down the resolution, and when you drop it down to half or quarter, it's actually pretty good. Then when it gets to high resolutions, it just isn't capable really for doing that. But I don't think you're going to get this laptop for 6K, 8K video editing. I think when you drop B-RAW on it, it's going to be okay because B-RAW is easy. But when it gets above 5K, like Red RAW and so on, that's not the one for you. Although 8K Canon RAW worked really well on this, which is interesting. So my conclusion is, I think it is good. There's better ones out there. The bottleneck is the 32 gigabytes of RAM. So if you do want the best for video editing, probably gone for the P16. But the full performance review is actually coming out for this, so stick around. Whether this or the MacBook Pro M4 Pro, we'll check it out. Some questions about this one. So, just came here and wondered if this is better than your M4 Max Kinetica. No, it's not. This is a lot cheaper than your M4 Max, and no. This is, I would say, the best 13-inch form factor, like how much power is packed into there. but it's definitely not as your M4 Max. I'm using the M4 Max to actually power this whole workstation, and it's not, no. Kevin is saying, is the RAM upgradable? No, it's soldered on. And the SSD, there is no secondary M.2 SSD, but the SSD is upgradable if you want to, but you'll have to check out the full review when we're going to be unboxing and opening this up to see what's inside. Now, thank you very much everybody for tuning in, but if you're thinking about buying this one, the links for this is in the video description below. I would say this is for 3D and for creators really who are like in the design place where you want the, you know, touchscreen capabilities. Where are we? There we go. And design 3D because of the NVIDIA. So if you're on Blender or some of these like Redshift, you know, Unreal Engine, that's like where this really shines. Video editing probably not its best suit because a bit lower end RAM and depending on the codecs and things like that. But it's still like very good if you're just doing 1080p 4K editing, breezes through like nothing. Okay. Now, thank you for watching. Again, check out Samsung SSDs if you haven't yet in the video description below, or this video, or this laptop, and I'll see you very, very soon. Really appreciate you all, and stay creative, and we'll see you very, very soon. Some exciting things coming.